Starting. Yeah, perfect. All right. So the question today it's about Instagram. I think probably most of you have used it, and this is a very broad question. Usually, the product sense questions at Facebook are of different flavors. There's the one, there's product sense, and product sense can be a product design question about something that is related to Facebook or something that is not, right? And it could be completely open-ended, or it could be actually scoped down, like improve some feature on Facebook and stuff like that. And so there are different frameworks for these questions. And what happens with the general questions like this is that not all frameworks will work. So you have to work with something that works for you, that will get you right to the design. And the key to get to these questions right is to go and scope down from the high level to the low level and go into the design as fast as possible. You only have 30 minutes, right? So that's the key. All right, so let's start. And for this question, I put here a framework to save time. And feel free to follow this framework or not. It works for me, and let me explain it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have somebody try to follow this framework, or they can improvise and do something else, and try to answer this question. And we can provide feedback to that person, or if that person gets stuck, somebody can jump in. All right. Any questions? I'm going to now explain the structure here. All right, so the question is, how would you design? What would you design next for Instagram, right? So Instagram 2.0 or something like that. And the first thing you want to do is to clarify the question. I think that this question is actually pretty straightforward, but maybe some clarification would be like, is it you want me to design something completely new or an improvement, right? That would be one question. Then you want to ask about constraints, if there are constraints in terms of the things that you can do to the application, or any other kinds of constraints that they may have. The next thing is you want to be on the same basis with the interviewer about the product, right? And also it helps you at this part, if you describe the product, it helps you actually in your thinking process about what to do next, right? Because you are saying what exists today. So you can describe, okay, what the product does today. And then the part that is really critical is this one, is the product goal, right? Because the goal is going to drive a lot of your decisions, right? Because you're designing towards this goal. So the product goal in general of Instagram, you're going to say what it is, and then how it fits within the mission of Facebook, right? And the reason why you want to do that is because that also guides your thinking as to what to do next. Because whatever you do next, it has to fit with the goal and of this product in general, and it has to fit with the mission. Okay, so it's going to guide you. And it's also going to help you at the end to tie the metrics to the product goal, as well as anything that you do has to be tied to that. Anyways, the next thing is, for me, I think it would help to do a history on, describe the evolution of this product, because that gives you a direction of where the product has been, where it is, and where it perhaps is going, right? So that will start giving you some ideas of what to do next. The next thing is, and something that helps me, is I like to frame, for these open-ended questions, I like to frame the design question in a way that ties the mission, and the product goal with, what to do next. And so you might use the expression, and you probably heard this, how might something do something, right? How might Facebook help this? How might Instagram help do this, right? So we work through that. Then go quickly into the users, who are the users? Pick one, right? Then you want to reframe the question, having picked your user, how do you reframe this question to say, how might Instagram do this for this user? And that basically helps you scope down, what are the choices for doing next? And then you go through use cases, solutions, metrics, wireframe, and then summarize, right? So I think that this part should be done really quickly, right? Where you're going to spend most of your time is framing the question and the use cases and the solutions. That should be the brand. And then the rest should be, this should be fast. Well, I would say 1/3 probably. But this is the meat, right? So you want to get here real quickly. All right, any questions about this? I will help you framing this design question, okay? So let's start with somebody that wants to jump in, a brave soul, and we're all going to give our best constructive feedback to this person. Or we may help him if they get stuck, her or him. So who wants to give it a shot? Should I choose one? All right, I'm going to choose a person. Himika, would you like to try?
Okay, sure. All right. So I'll start with the goal area. Is that correct? Or no, clarifying area, right?
Yeah.
All right. So first thing that I want to understand is the question is, what do we build next for Instagram as the next big thing?
Mm-hmm.
When we are talking about next big thing, we are talking about opening up. Are we talking about completely entering into a new area for Instagram, or are we talking about the next big thing in terms of the existing ecosystem within Instagram? What are the features that we can build to improve engagement?
Yeah, I think the second one is like, what is the next feature for Instagram within the framework of what it is today?
Okay, I see. All right. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Off the top of my head, for me to finalize what the next big thing could be or what are the next features, I'll get into that space once we identify the goal that we are trying to optimize for, and at the same time, who the users are, what are their pain points.
Mm-hmm.
Any other constraints or any other limitations that you can inform before we jump on to deciding or thinking about the goal?
Just think about something that can be done in the next 6 months.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much for that. All right. So moving on, the next thing that I want to quickly talk about is, first let's think about what is overall Facebook's mission. How is Instagram aligned with Facebook's mission? So current Facebook's mission is empowering people to build communities. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other aspect is bring the world closer together. So
Mm-hmm.
when I think about Instagram and how it's tied back to overall Facebook's mission, Instagram allows users to share their photos, videos, things on their mobile device in a more timely fashion and connect with other folks. So it brings them closer together by the means of sharing the things that is happening in their life.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, the goal that we are optimizing for on Instagram is engagement piece, because obviously, tying it back to Facebook's mission, which is increasing, bringing people closer together, that comes when more
So,
engagement happens.
Himika, let's what you're saying is right, which is engagement, and let's put that as that's overall the objective
Mm-hmm.
of the business.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the user problem that Instagram is solving?
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, that was my next thing that I was going to talk about. That quickly thinking about what is the overall
User goal.
reason that Instagram exists. So the overall reason for Instagram to exist and be part of Facebook's ecosystem is currently it's a mobile platform where people can quickly share the things that are happening in their life
Mm-hmm.
as they go, which is on the go. So Instagram provides an option to share 2 minutes video or Instagram stories or snapshots of your life. So the goal of Instagram is the quick update as you go on your mobile devices, whatever is happening within your life, and share it with your friends and family members.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And let's continue. Let's say that I agree with you. Now, how would you come up with a new next thing to do?
That's an interesting space. So for me to think about next thing to do, I do want to quickly also think about who are the competitors to Instagram and what is there anything innovative that they are doing, or is there a problem that they're solving for our customers? So when I think about the competition, our direct competition is with Snapchat, and also with Facebook's core app, right? So, and that primary use case being, because we are mostly a mobile platform, I have to think about an experience or building something for mobile users in mind. um when I think about like unique solution, I'm not too familiar with both, at least Snapchat side, what they are building. But I know for a fact that okay, I'm really confused what I can recommend here. So I think let's someone else also jump in, or maybe you can pitch in. But yeah, for me
Let me
it's
pitch
very
in
hard.
here. Let me pitch in here.
Okay.
So, it's good thing to talk about the landscaping, what people are doing. So, of course, there are things that Instagram copy,
Right.
but I would try to do something new, right? So, I will talk a little bit about the history and the evolution of Instagram, which to me starts with the feed of Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And people basically, what they're doing is they're sharing photos, which are instances in time of their experiences around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about it. So instance in time. And what happened then is, these people that are experiencing that usually started with artists, right? People that are really into photography or sharing beautiful photos, and then expanded along this platform, because with all the camera tools, right, it enabled people, just regular people, to actually take a photo, make it beautiful, and share it. So not only artists and amateurs, but just regular people started using Instagram, right? And so the content, but always keeping that beautiful aspect of the photos, and sharing their instant in time. But then came stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stories are ephemeral, right? So it's more an authentic way for people to connect with each other, right? There's less fear of like, oh, I'm not looking good or not, because the photos are going to disappear, the videos are going to disappear, right? So in a way, you're sharing now moments in time, right? Short moments. So from instance, you're sharing short moments in your life, not only in your life, but what you're seeing around. So if I see this evolution of this application, for me, the next thing to do would be, it's like, okay, from moments, then what else? And so the way I would frame the question is, if I were to frame the design question, it would be, how can Instagram help users share more than moments, more than just a moment in your life, right? And I will just leave it as that. I'm just framing the question. I'm going to reframe the question as I go along after looking at the users. So let's go into the users, and then I'm going to reframe the question again for the particular user that I'm picking. So who are the users? Can somebody tell me?
I can go.
Sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just reiterating what you said. So there are artists. So I would group photographers, fashion people like into one group called artists. There is influencers who are celebs and other kind of people, and then businesses.
Okay.
Brands.
Okay.
And then just regular people, I guess.
Regular people, yeah. Okay, that's good. Does everybody agrees with this, or somebody has a different segmentation?
I just wanted to add, why would we not consider Pinterest as a competition?
Who said we are not considering Pinterest as a competition?
Oh, we didn't call out. We were only talking about like social platforms and I just think like Pinterest would be the competition for Instagram.
Yeah, sure. It could be another competition. So this is not it. This is not completely, covering everything, right? Yeah, Pinterest can be a competition. That's fine. But let's go back to users. All right. I think this is covers a lot, right? We have artists, influencers, brands, regular people. Across regular people, we have, the ones that are sort of like amateurs, I would say, in artists or stuff. And then there are the ones that are like the people that like to follow, right? Followers. All right. So let's go back to this and think about, okay, so artists, who are the people that are putting really good stuff on Instagram? Who do you follow?
Photographers.
Hmm?
Photographers.
Yeah, artists, right? In this
Yeah.
case, you can have photographers or, photographers in general, right? They're putting stuff there.
Yeah.
Videographers too, right?
Yeah.
Videographers, all right. They're always putting good stuff. You also have like publications, right? And I didn't put here, but I guess businesses or publications.
Yeah.
Stuff, artists. You have influencers that people just follow them because they're famous, right?
Yeah, like celebrities.
Like celebrities and stuff.
For businesses, like e-commerce is big, right? It's
Applications. Let's put businesses in here. And you mentioned e-commerce, right? As well as there could
How would that be covered under brands?
Yeah, how's businesses different from brands?
Yeah, you're right. Let's put this under all brands. Okay, because those are the ones that are putting beautiful stuff, right? Excuse me, big brands, publications. Let me put here. Publications, brands are over here. Brands or marketers. All right. All right. So these are putting good stuff, right? But who do we want to target for the next thing, right? Who do we want to target?
I was just going to say businesses can be different, right? Like a small business may not have a brand.
That is true. That is true. So let's put businesses here.
Lana, I think in this case, you can just keep it very high level rather than like we can segmenting it in separate ways. Obviously, that can be additional layer.
Right.
But for us to just like going back to our overall goal, which is increasing engagement, our primary driver for that particular goal is user consumer side.
Yeah.
And as a result, like we should be focusing on the consumer aspect,
Mhm.
and then brands, publisher, all these things, like we can keep it on the other side, which is non-consumer.
Sure.
Right?
Let's put
What do
this-
you think?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So let's keep it high level.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say these are on the consumer side, and business or non-consumer would be here. And we can put in here everybody there, right?
Yeah.
Influencers, brands, but as I would agree with Kimika that this is secondary. So let's focus on the consumers because that's who we're designing for, really, right? They're using the app. So who should we focus on? Artists, influencers, or regular people? How would you prioritize?
I'll go with, if I have to take it, or someone else was speaking, I'll let that.
No, give your opinion, Kimiko.
Okay, so I'll pick the individual user side. Within individual user side, rather than just influencers, because obviously that depends on the primary market for me. So if I see like we have more individual users engaging with influencers, that's a big segment for me to go after. So the overall market size will be big. So based on the market size, I'll decide. Now on the individual user side, we can do an additional layer. So then it will become a fact. Should we target more existing users, improve, like build something for the existing users, or should we like capture a new market, a new set of user base? So our current existing user base is mostly catered with people who like to actually, post things in a better visual format, like travelers or photographers, because Instagram has one of the best cameras or filters available for social posting. So I'll think in that direction. Would love to get someone else's thought how if that's the
Regular
right.
people or artists?
I will go with regular people to
Okay.
build the next big thing, because I feel that's the bigger market for us to go after.
Okay.
Versus, like, how do you, so a regular person can also be an artist. So think it from this direction, right? Like they're
Yeah,
they're
that's why
not
I put here
mutually.
the amateurs, right?
Yep.
Amateurs and regular people.
Exactly. So they're not mutually exclusive. So I will go with the regular people or just like Instagram users.
I would pick both. I would
I
pick
see.
artists and regular people.
Yeah.
Because why? Because artists are the ones that sprinkling the fire into Instagram with really beautiful things, and they have a lot of followers, right? And regular people are the ones that are just consuming and they posting stuff, right? But they're really the masses, right? So both of them, I think, would be good. Any other person's opinion?
So actually, can you take a minute and reiterate how you categorized the users? So artists and influencers, are you saying they're not regular people, or
So
unregular?
professional artists, right? Somebody that
So
has
I think what the way we would classify them would be content generators and content consumers, right? So artists and influencers are content generators. Regular people, they would do probably they would do light on posting, but they consume a lot of content and they generate a lot of comments and make a lot of.
it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, it's consumers, I think, and non-consumers, right? On the consumer side, everybody's doing a little bit of both, right? Creating and consuming, right? So I don't think that differentiated between content creators and non-content creators, I think it's not very useful because everybody's creating a little bit, right? I think it's more on the artists, which are like professional artists, right? And they have to either promote their art, promote themselves as artists, putting beautiful pictures, whatever. And you have regular people. Like regular people are people that don't have a degree in art, right? That they haven't dedicated their life to the art, but they are amateurs, right? Maybe perhaps amateurs photographers. Does that make sense? I think Harshal, you asked that question.
No, I asked a question. I think that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on. And let's say, okay, now we have artists and we have regular people, right? Now, I'm just going to reframe the question the way I would do it, but I don't want to do it, just push my way. I want somebody also to come up with another way of doing things. But just to give, how I would constrain the question even more, I would say, okay, so now I'm going to reframe the question like, right, how my Instagram help artists, or amateurs share more than moments. And I would then go down even farther and say, well, what do these people care about? What do artists and amateurs care about to share?
So again, you why did you pick amateurs or artists and not
The reason why I pick,
followers, for example?
I'm sorry?
So in regular people, you had amateurs and followers. Amateurs are upcoming artists who want to post a lot of stuff.
The reason why I pick them is because these are the people that are creating a lot.
Okay, and you want to focus on them, not on the people who are consuming a lot of the content that's created?
Well, because before comes creation, right? Before
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm just trying to understand. Okay.
So that's why I'm focusing on them. So I would then bring the question is like, what do they care about? Why do these people care about expressing? And to me, what they care about is their work, is their art, right? And so I lead to the things like, okay, they care about their art. What does that mean? They care about the process of making something, right? And so to me, that leads to the next thing to do. So I said share moments. The next thing is share process. And so that's my process of thinking about what to do next. So the next thing to do is to the problem that I would say is how can the next thing to do is to enable these artists and these amateurs to share the process of the creation, right? And then I would go into use cases of what that process means for them. What are their needs while creating, for example, writing a book or creating a painting. Those takes months to do, or making a documentary or a video. There's an entire process, and there are different needs around that, right? It could be, for example, you run out of ideas. You might want some ideas in order to keep on writing your book, or you are stuck. You need to challenge yourself, so you need motivation. Maybe you want to set up a challenge for yourself. Commit publicly. You're going to do something, and so so several needs can come up. But that's just me.
I would have thought about, what do they care about? They care about publicizing their work, so they can potentially get, people who would purchase their work. That's something that I would have thought about.
Okay, let's talk about needs. What else comes to mind?
I think one thing is like currently we support video and images. What other format could we think about to share their content? Like maybe like a story, like for example, if you have a photo, what was the inspiration? So some kind of text to go along with the images.
But that already exists, right? I think that you need to think about so you're thinking about sort of like a something. Think about the end thing. What is it at the end?
Yeah, why are they in this product, right? I mean, why are they using Instagram? What do they want to get out of it?
Right.
So yeah, that would be basically create awareness. So have more followers, create awareness of their craft, and then conversions, right? So we talked about.
Yeah, no. That's I think that is too narrow what you're talking about, and that's a destination. Think about an artist, right? Or think about an athlete, for example. What do they care? They care about being the best and performing the best, right? How do they get there? So think about something bigger, right?
Can I jump in and talk about something that is completely like very different from what Instagram has been built for?
Yeah.
Okay, so images can also be used as like where you're encrypting a message into it, and only the person who has probably some code can decrypt and get the message out of it, right? So you're sharing a picture.
Think about, but before talking about a solution, we need to come up with what is the need, right? So could you explain what's the need?
The need is probably to deliver some secret messages which you want only a particular group or only a particular individual to see.
But why would that be something that Instagram would do better than? Why can't they just use WhatsApp or something like that to do that, right? So Instagram that's not the goal of the product, right?
Right, I get what you're saying.
That wouldn't fit. Anyways, anybody wants to take it? Let's look at needs. Somebody said publicize work. Let's look at needs that are for these artists or these amateurs that today they cannot cover neither with feeds nor with stories, right? Because feeds is maybe an instance, maybe stories is just too short.
So one thing I can think about would be selling the experience, right? So if I'm coming up with, say, a new piece of art. How am I doing it? Sharing my experience with the whole virtual reality coming into place. Those could be one of the new features. Like the whole experience can be um, resold over and over to an individual, so they can go through how the art is being made.
I see. So sharing and I call it process. Is that what you mean? Use experience process?
Isn't
Well,
that
process-
again a solution? I'm sorry to interrupt. That
Sorry,
was that was a solution that you're giving, right?
No, that's not a solution. That's the need that I'm talking about. So going back to Elena's question, process is like, how do I do this art, right? I mix this colors, I do this paint, I use this thing. That's the process. The experience is just like walking through the whole thing, and what is my thought process when I do this, or and what is my inspiration. The whole thing, you actually go through the process. The artist probably makes an art piece of art over 30 hours, but that can be walked through with a virtual reality experience in like 30 minutes.
Need to share my I want to share my thought process, right?
I want to share the thought process, rather I want to call it experiences.
But experiences can be misinterpreted. I think what you're saying, and forgive me, but I think that what you're saying is, tell me if I'm wrong, is every artist has a different way of thinking about how they build things, right? And you want to, you're saying the artist may
Right.
want to share their way of making art,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I want to share my way of making art. Okay.
Malena, I can pitch in on one more thing for
Sure.
this perspective. I'm just like going through the product itself. What are the things that it's not? So like a lot of people share content from different artists or content creators, and oftentimes as an artist, one of the need that you have is if my art has been referenced somewhere else or someone has shared it, how many times it has been referenced, because I want to just like see what level of engagement it is, because that will also give me insight into what people like or what people engage with, so that will also help me decide what are the next things I can put that will drive more engagement.
So going back, what specific information would you like to see?
Absolutely. So the basic need as an artist will be that how many times someone has shared the things that I've posted, or how many times it has been referenced. So the way it works is someone can share it, right? From that post, if someone else shares it or repost the same thing, I never get to know, how many people, what type of engagement is happening around my content. So Instagram can, like, getting into the solution space, how we can solve this particular problem is like Instagram can come up with some type of AI model to detect the type of content and where it was first generated. From there, we get right credit to the artist. We instantly inform, like, this is the person you can reach out, or this is a person you can follow who's been generating this content. Because if you see, like, overall, if there are multiple posts, people usually sometimes they post like credits to so and so person, or sometimes they don't. And oftentimes I never get to know like where this particular thing was generated, who made this, and how can I get in touch with that particular artist, and get to learn more about the things that they're posting.
So basically, who is sharing my content? Who uses my content?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Good. All right. So we have these ideas. I'm gonna put my ideas here with you guys, which is, for example, I need, let's say, I need more ideas. More ideas to complete my work. Maybe another one is unstuck. Unstuck, how people have like writer's blocks and stuff like that. Unstuck, I need help. I need ideas. I need ideas to move on. And yeah. So we put these things here. All right. So let's come up with some solutions. What usually you want to prioritize, on what you're gonna do. But all these ideas seem to be, except for Kinika's here, they seem to be similar. It's like sharing the entire process of the experience. Well, this one is, I need more ideas to complete my work. I'm stuck. I need more ideas. This is more about, and also, this is about sharing the process too. All right, so how are we going to, how are we going to prioritize here? The way I would prioritize, like a need, would be if it's going to lead. Let's look at the goal, right? The goal was here for Instagram to let people share, more of their experiences, how they see the world. And for me, the next thing is to get them to share a process. So I would pick based on my design question, which is pick the ones that are about process. Because it's a longer form of way of sharing, not just moments. But that's just me. Anybody, and so I would pick this one, sharing the way of making my art. I would perhaps think about, I am stuck, I need more ideas to complete my process. So let's go with, I don't know. I'm just going to pick here because it's hard, but I think I would pick this one. Share my way of making art. What do you guys think?
Sure, let's go with that.
Any solutions? And art can be anything. Art can be write a book, do a painting, photography, a video, a movie, a documentary, anything.
The time lapse might be pretty good. A time lapse?
A time lapse.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Got it. So you have like it goes forward in time.
Yeah, so iPhone has this time lapse feature where it would show different snapshots in a really quick way.
So it's a time lapse of the work that you've done. Let's say that you're doing a painting from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And it shows the time lapse, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's pretty simple and straightforward.
Okay, that's the time lapse, and basically what that means is like sharing this, right? Like making it and sharing it.
How is it different from sharing a video?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I'm just putting it here.
Okay.
So a video.
So if you think about process, there are certain stages in the process, right? When you start, somewhere in the middle, and at the end. So they're basically time points. So maybe they share content continuously based on where they're in the process. But there is a way to connect all those things together and
Let's say
display it in a certain way.
I would add on to what Monil is saying. I was just about to say the same thing. So Instagram would take like a 30-hour video and then compress it down to just the key times where the user needs attention or the instructions are given, and the rest of the time it's just a time lapse.
Yeah, I see. I'm saying that what you guys are saying is a day by day video story, of what you're making, right?
Yes, and I believe apart from the screenshots or the shots of what has been changing on day by day basis, you would also need some text to let people know that okay, this was the process, this was the process step and all.
Yeah. By story, I mean, we can go into the details later, right? All right, that's a good one. One that I would do is, when people get stuck. So I was thinking about when people get stuck in the design process. usually what helps is having deadlines, right? And also having people help you. So I was thinking of this feature called the commitment feature. Okay. So, and the commitment feature would be you make a public commitment and say, hey, I'm going to paint this painting I wanted to paint for the last year in the next 3 months. And every day I'm gonna, like share what I'm doing, and I get feedback from my followers, right? And maybe encouragement. And not only that, I may get some money, just like Patreon, right? That they can sponsor me, and I get motivated and get unstuck. Right? So I was thinking of this commitment feature, and it will elevate sort of like the stakes, right? Because people will be seeing you, will be checking on you, whether you're actually committing, and doing your work. And it has an end, right, to it. It's sort of like a story of your progress to do whatever it is that you're doing. That's another idea. Any other thoughts?
So you said commitment, but also I guess the artist wants feedback, right?
Yeah, I mean, the commitment feature will take that, right?
Right. Okay.
You will say, you commit publicly, you take feedback, right? You may take sponsorship, right?
Yeah.
And it has a deadline, right? Okay, so another idea is, look, why don't we crowdsource ideas, right? Idea crowdsourcing. And so I'm making let's say I'm writing a script or I'm writing a book, and I want people to be part of the story, right? Be making the story, and maybe the best ideas are prop up, right? And so the story can change depending on what people are providing. So idea crowdsourcing would be another one, which can be done for books, scripts, even I think mostly for books and scripts, right? So that's another one. Other ideas? This day-by-day video story of the art, which would be wanting to sharing the way of making the art, that would be very immersive too, right? All right. So these are 4 solutions. How would you prioritize this? So what was the goal? The goal is to enable people to share things and increase engagement, on the platform. People talking about it. So the way I would prioritize is thinking about, okay, which of this will engage more people, to talk about it, come back to check, what's the progress of things happening with the artist. So which one? So, the time lapse seems like a little bit too simple, right? The day by day seems interesting, right? Because you are going to check on the artists, and it drives curiosity, right? So especially if they're doing a sculpture or a painting, where are they today? The commitment feature is very similar, except that this one has a stake, right? Because you committed to do something. So if you don't do something, that might look bad. And then the idea crowdsourcing, that really, it's basically encompassing the followers to be part of the creation, right? So which one do you think is going to, of these three, that's going to drive more engagement?
What is the last one again?
I'm sorry?
Oh, the idea generation. Okay. The last one could get a little bit noisy for the artist too.
Too many ideas.
Yeah, I would go with number 2.
Yeah, the day by day. Mm-hmm. Any other personal opinions? All right. You know, that's a good one. I actually would have choose 3, but that's mine. And the reason why I would have chosen that is because it can be brought into anybody. So imagine a person that wants to lose weight, so they can make a pledge and a commitment and say, okay, so by the end of this year, I'm gonna fit in that dress. It could be also an athlete, right, that is trying to hit certain performance metric, and they make a commitment pledge. So it can be spanned not only to artists, but to everybody, basically, that wants to have a commitment. But anyways, let's say we go with 2. Now, what's the metric? Now what metrics are we gonna use to find whether you are successful? So let's start with the goal metric, which is right. We wanted people to be able to share, right? Share part of their life and interact with it. So if it's the day-by-day video story, it will be, okay, so how many users are using that feature? We may have, you know, how many day-by-day video stories are there, and you want to see the growth. What else? How many followers of this new feature, right? Followers related to feature. But what's more important is how many interactions, right? How many interactions, you know, related to the feature. By that we mean, you know, how many people put comments, how many people view, went back and view the video and stuff like that.
How many likes, shares, subscribes?
Yeah, yeah, how many likes? I think I would put that under interactions. Like sharing, reactions, and things like that would be there, right? So is there something? So let's say that people start, you know, going and looking at these videos and stuff like that more than the news feed, more than, excuse me, the feed of Instagram. Is that a bad thing?
Yes, that would be a cannibalization of the product, right? So you want to make sure you don't cannibalize your core product too.
Really
But I
depends.
guess if overall retention increases, then it's not such a bad thing.
Exactly. That's what I would think, right? If it keeps people on the Instagram product, I wouldn't worry too much.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to Facebook, right? People, I think, interact more on stories and groups compared to timeline.
Yeah. No way.
So what is your star metric for this particular feature? Do you have one?
So the star metric, you know, you have to think about what the goal is, right? So we wanted at the end to increase engagement, right? So I think that which of these metrics tells you more about engagement? I think the interactions related to
Interactions, yeah.
So that's what I would pick as a North Star. Right. Okay, so to wrap it up, right? Like, okay, so if we're going to wireframe it, how are we going to wireframe it? That's another thing, right? Where would we do this? Day by day video story of art.
Before we proceed, I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
We can implement the same solution in, say, YouTube or even Snapchat, right? Not Snapchat, probably in Pinterest or even YouTube for the matter, right? Okay. I mean, it's not going to be something like very specific to Instagram alone. I mean, it can be implemented anywhere else too.
Well, let's see. Why aren't artists doing that in YouTube?
I believe YouTube is more popular, and when it comes to videos and all, people would go to YouTube any day because it helps them generate some income as well. Unlike Instagram at this point in time, Instagram also can help them generate revenues, but YouTube is the most popular channel for artists. So
For artists?
yes, I mean people prefer to use YouTube for revenues to generate revenues.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay.
It depends. I don't know about that. I have to get numbers for that, right?
Okay.
But I think that the point of doing this is you're thinking about, you already have an audience, right? There's already a brand behind Instagram, and so the question is what is you going to do next for this audience, right? So I'm not sure where your question comes in here. How is that relevant?
Okay, now see, the need here is that the use case that we were focusing on was that the user wants to share his way of making an art, right? So one is probably he wants to be a little popular about how he goes about doing things, and more important than just getting some attention to his art or the process of making something would be making money out of the knowledge that he's sharing. So that's where that question comes from. So if you want to publicize, okay, this is the way I go about doing something, and you want to make money out of it, then why would somebody go to Instagram and not YouTube?
Yeah, it's I think because of the audience, right? Like when I think about artists, especially photographers, right? Photographers and paintings and things like that, I wouldn't think of going to YouTube. I wouldn't think of going to Instagram.
Okay.
Because I don't. Yeah, I think that when you think photography, you immediately think Instagram. I don't think YouTube when I think about photography.
Okay.
That's me. I mean, I don't know. Other people can jump in, have other opinions.
But we hear this particular solution that we are talking about is not necessarily just the pictures, right? We're talking about the day-to-day video. So to his point, let's say I'm an artist and I have both Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. I'm everywhere on all social medias. I would also sort of think about which one of these platforms is going to make my work, a lot more popular or achieve. Why is Instagram? What kind of a unique service is it going to give me over the other platforms? Might be something to think about.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the other platforms like YouTube, you have followers there, right? But it's different. I don't think that. I don't know how to express it. I think that I always see an artsy bend to Instagram as opposed to YouTube. I think that YouTube I see a lot of junk.
Yeah, I think when it comes to visual, right, visual art or anything visual, Instagram is top of the mind for most people.
Yeah, it's so simple, right, and clean cut, and it's mobile, it's for desktop, and
So yeah, I do know that YouTube has different kind of artists where they have all this teenage shows for teenagers and stuff like that, but that's a slightly different audience.
Yeah.
Here when it comes to visual, I think that's the audience that catches Instagram.
Anyways, let's see where Can somebody think of wireframing this? Where would that go? You know, this is we have the stories, but now we're gonna have, you know, the art making process, like the day to day. You know,
I think as part of the solution, what is important is, how is this going to be visually? How is this going to visually look like, right?
yeah.
I
Well,
think
how's it gonna be generated, right? And
yeah.
one of the thoughts that I had is that okay, so if you're on Instagram, you're the creator, right? You have your profile. You know, there's your profile page, and maybe here you can have, you know, these are the icons for how do you view your creations, right? Maybe you can put another icon here, which is, all right, this is the day to day. I don't know what we call it, right? But let's call it day by day, a new feature. So you can click here, right, and go to another page. And here is where you start, you know, they say, okay, day one, you know, and you can start putting your videos here, perhaps, or day two, day three, you know, and so on. But as the days go by, right, these can be put, you know, this basically you can collage this and say, you know, collect all this into one, maybe make it a single view, and then, you know, it's like, okay, from the beginning till now until today, you have this video that shows your progress, right? From your creation, and then this is, you know, you're sharing this, you know, with your followers. So this is the creator, but the follower will see your videos, you know, on their feeds, and they might want to go to your page, uh, and, you know, just read more details about your work, right? They might even want to put money, leave a comment, and so on. So it's a longer way, I would say, it's a longer way of expressing your art, right? It's a day by day, it's the making of your art from beginning to end. It's not an instance in time, it's not a moment in time, it's a process. And so that's how I think on the next generation. Any thoughts?
I think one thing which would be important would be some kind of notification to your followers
Of the changes.
of the changes or something you publish.
Yeah, and that would make you come back,
Right.
and see what has happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Even the time lapse that we were mentioning before can be part also of that feature, right? Because you can time lapse like different parts of the work. All right. Did you guys have any crazy ideas before you came today about Instagram that you want to share?
Want to be able to do shopping on Instagram.
Yeah, and that's already possible. Yeah. So they already launched just a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay, I haven't tried it.
Just like Pinterest,
Yeah.
you can click on it, and then it tells you to the shop. Takes you to another page where you can shop the product.
I have a slightly orthogonal idea, which is to put a productivity lens on Instagram. Currently, it's a time sink. As a result, a lot of people have stopped using it. So I would add something which adds flavors for well-being.
With what?
For well-being, healthy life and well-being. Instead of just focusing on high engagement and high retention, I would actively have features for well-being and productivity. I would also make it more intimate. Currently, it's gotten to a point where almost it doesn't feel so intimate, so it's almost like Facebook.
I couldn't hear you very well. Sorry. Did somebody hear? Because I couldn't hear very well.
Yeah, what she said was she would try to make it a little bit more intimate, because it doesn't feel very personal to share things on.
I see. I see.
So you mean you want to make it something like Facebook, where you can decide who you're sharing the content with, or something like that?
I would not call Facebook intimate at this point. Like, people stopped using Facebook way before they stopped using Instagram. There
Right.
are new social networks coming up which are more personalized and more intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's the direction that they want to go, right? I mean, that's what they did, stories also, Instagram stories. But you also have the messenger, right? So you can message directly to a person.
Yes, but more around the broadcast. Like, I still want to show off, but I want to show off to my intimate group.
Your intimate what?
I still want to show off, but I only want to show off with the people I choose, like just my inner circle.
I see. Got it. Yeah. That makes sense. Anyways, all right. That was the session for tonight. I hope that you liked it.
So,
Yeah.
so I have one question before we hang up. So, in the what do you think the impact is going to be of this? Because we are targeting artists, right? And how big of a group is artists in the Instagram community?
Well, artists and also amateurs, right? Amateur artists and artists, right? So it's not
Artists.
only amateurs also, right?
Okay, so you think that's a big community on Instagram?
I think so. And it doesn't have to be too big, right? There are more followers, right? They're usually like 10 followers per one or 100. I don't know what's that ratio, right? But if you are not targeting creators, then there's nothing there, right?
Okay.
So you have to target creators.
Not, yeah. So one idea I was thinking about is, as we were talking about it, how about create a experience for travelers? People travel, everybody travel a lot, right? Like, what is that you can do in Instagram that is focused for travelers? I was thinking about it.
That's a good segmentation. That would be a different one, right?
That is more on the regular people.
Yeah, that would be more in the regular people. It targets a specific usage. Yeah, it seems interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one avenue, right? It seems a little bit constricted to one use case. So
Yeah.
I would think it's a little bit too constricted. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Because you want people to share all kinds of things, right? But yeah, I mean, we can think of something about that. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you.
So I just have one last question. This was my first session. That was great. How often do we have these sessions, the audience meetup?
Every 2 weeks or sometimes every 3 weeks.
Okay. Can I get in touch with you to know more about, like, how you go about planning all these activities, so that I can help you plan something, or probably I can, how to go about learning stuff and all?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Can I get in touch with you offline to discuss more about